So what I'm going to do, I'll read a few parts. I can't read very long for a book like this because 15 minutes I'll read the entire thing. Okay, so it's set in Ajax, which is a little town to the east of Toronto. Just 2 weeks after my family moved to Ajax, I saw my parents glued to the television. At first I thought they were watching a movie. People were rushing out from a tunnel. A man in a heavy coat led out a lady wearing what looked like a gas mask. It was caked with thick white dust. I wondered what the lady's face looked like behind the mask. Was she crying or her eyes closed in fright? Then the scene shifted to a red double-decker bus. It seemed to have been smashed with a giant hammer. There's nothing sadder than smoke, my father said, because it always marks the end of something. Dad usually spoke like this, quoting the dead poet Shakespeare, or saying things that only he could understand. Mom placed a finger against her lips to silence Dad. On television, a woman was sitting on the pavement. Why wasn't the woman running away with everyone else, I wondered. Then the camera focused on a small body beside her. I waited for a commercial to come on before I asked my mom, what's going on? Where is this happening? In faraway London, Mom said in a sad voice, people have bombed 3 subway trains on that bus. After a while, she added, what's happening is madness. Can something like this happen here? My sister Alison asked. My mother looked through the balcony, though. I wondered if she was considering the questions or remembering all the places she had lived previously. First of all, in Uganda, where she had met and married Dad. Then Australia. She and Dad had moved there after the ruler of Uganda and his army had destroyed the homes and businesses of their friends and family. Then Fredericton, the coast of town in New Brunswick, on the east coast of Canada. Both Alison and I were born there. Then after 7 years in Napanee, Ontario, where Dad got a job at the mill. And finally here, Ajax, a town to the east of Toronto. Who knows there? Mom said finally, as if speaking to herself. But not in Ajax. I don't think something like that can happen here. During the following weeks, I got a good clue as to why my parents felt so comfortable in Ajax. Everything seemed squeezed together. We could walk to the library, the hospital, the schools, the lake, and the shopping malls. Everyone seemed to know each other, and the parks were usually crowded with elderly people walking about or chatting on benches. One day we were driving through narrow streets with old wartime houses on either side. Mom pointed to the signs and said the streets were all named after the sailors from some old battleship. That's true, in Ajax. All the streets are named after the sailors from a ship, I think it was called Harvard, something like that. No one is ashamed of their past here, Mom said. My mother felt that Canada was the most perfect place in the world. All the bad things happen elsewhere. She pointed this out to Dad whenever he began talking about his boyhood in Uganda. Dad would say that his people were nomads. His great-grandfather had moved from India to Uganda, he and Mom had moved to Australia, and now everyone had moved to Canada. His favorite saying when he was not quoting Shakespeare was that everything is temporary. I really hoped that Dad was wrong and that our stay in Ajax would be permanent. I was sad when we moved from Fredericton and I had to leave all my friends behind. Because of that, I made very few friends in Napanee. I didn't want that to happen again. I didn't want to be disappointed again. Ajax was different. We did not live in a small house as we had in the other places, but on the 10th floor of a high-rise apartment. From the balcony, I could see the playground and the hospital. I believe that if we stayed in Ajax, I would finally make some friends. I had to. Everyone was squashed together. Sometimes I pretended that everyone in our high-rise, the men and the women and the children I spotted on the elevator or in the parking lot, belonged to one big family. After all, we all lived in the same building. Yet only 5 months after we moved to Ajax, Alice, my sister, told me something terrible. Our parents, she said, were thinking of moving once more. She hoped they would pick Vancouver as a